All right, guys, welcome to another episode. I'm Orlando.
And I'm Omar.
We're the Smart Bros.
And this is the Smart Take.
All right, guys, this is going to be episode 15. And first off, we just right off the bat want to say we apologize. We know it's been a while, but the holidays came up. Omar finishing his semester, work, God knows what we just had. There's a lot going on, man.
Vacations. It was
Vacations, y'all, we got to
and
take
we
some time for ourselves. So definitely want to
we tried to
apologize.
get it in, but it just schedules never really aligned, and so we
Right.
just didn't
So
have a lot of time. But we definitely wanted to. We
definitely, we
definitely
didn't want to
wanted
leave
to.
you guys hanging like that, and we'll try to let you guys know if there ever be a little hiatus like that again. Obviously, like I said, schedules didn't line, so it wasn't that predictable, but definitely we're back for you guys. We'll just leave it at that. And in our time away, we did have four games. We played the Bills, the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Commanders, and so we don't want to just breeze past those games like they didn't happen. Definitely want to touch on those. So against the Bills, it was definitely a very tough loss for us. It was on the road, and obviously in Buffalo, the weather wasn't ideal. Obviously, it was a little chilly, really windy, raining just a little bit. So in terms of the passing game, our offense couldn't really get anything going. But that game really came down to our defense giving up over 200 yards on the ground to James Cook and Josh Allen, and just the because I mean in that game, Josh Allen only had 94 passing yards and one passing touchdown. So it was definitely a game where our defense just they couldn't really get a stop. They couldn't really stop the run at all. So, but on the other side, like I said, our offense couldn't get anything really going. So that was how that game really boiled down to. We ended up losing 31-10 in a game that was pretty important, I think, and a lot of narratives. I think at the end of the year, when it comes down to Dak not winning MVP, it'll come down to that. It'll come down to the games in this stretch. But then after that, we had the Dolphins. So kind of tell us how that game went.
Uh, Another tough loss on the road. We lost 22-20, but we had a chance to win. We got all the way down to the 1 yard line on our first drive. Our fullback fumbled. I don't really like giving him the ball. Of course, it's easy to say because he fumbled, but it was first down, but he just didn't even see the handoff. We fumbled, as well as we went down at the very end of the game. Dak drove us down the field, touchdown to Brandon Cook very late in the game, and our defense, we just needed them to get one stop. We were up 2019, and they just couldn't. They ended up kicking a field goal to win the game with the clock expiring. Tough loss, and like you said, games like that are going to be the reason Dak won't win MVP, but I really wouldn't put that on him. 253 and two touchdowns, and he did enough for us to win that game, man. Because if the fullback scores right there, or if our defense gets a stop, we're 13-4 now, as well as we would be first in the NFC. We of course we have still won the division like we did. It's just the record would be a little bit better. His stats would look a little bit better based on what we won. So it is what it is. But after that, we had a very, very tough game against the Lions. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, definitely our most controversial game of the season. There was a lot of just bad refereeing all around. It was a game we ended up winning 19-20. And before I get on into all like the controversy, I for sure want to shout out CeeDee Lamb because he had 12 catches, no, 13 catches, 227 yards, and a touchdown. Should have been two touchdowns. We ended up fumbling like on the goal line. Another close game where the fumble on the goal line. That would have been sickening to have two back-to-back losses. We were able to pull this one out. And I mean, I think in my head, this was the game that cemented CD's all pro status this season. Boosted because he's honestly a candidate for offensive player of the year. And I think this game is the game that really kind of cemented his status as one of the arguably the best wide receiver in the league. I think right now he has a very good argument to be up there with guys like Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase because I mean the stats are showing right now he's leading. I think he was behind Tyreek Hill in yards by 50 and he led the league. He led the league for a wide receiver total touchdowns because I think he was second in receiving, but he also had two rushing touchdowns. So I mean,
Yeah,
and he was first in overall yards because we give CD the ball out of the backfield sometimes. So just the versatility that he brings, slot, outside, out the backfield. I mean, this game really, really cemented his status as a number one receiver. So definitely want to say shout out to him for that. But also in this game, Dak threw for 345, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And now to get into the controversy. So like it was a tight game all the way through. We went down, scored a touchdown, and then our defense they well, the crazy thing is our defense, they ended up getting an interception with about I think 2 to 3 minutes left. And at that point, I'm thinking the game is over. But with our play calling and our decision in the decision making of Dak, I'm not just going to put it all on the playmaking because he had check downs. They were going for it all, but it was a little too aggressive because in that game at that point in time, if we just run that clock out, if we run the ball, we can just kneel the ball
But you
out.
have to highlight why we
Oh,
didn't
for
run
sure.
it out though.
For sure. There was a definite now. So the reason I feel like there's controversy on both sides is because on that drive, there was a phantom tripping call. Not even phantom, because there was a player who tripped, but it wasn't a Cowboys player. They called a tripping call on our tight end when it was Aiden Hutchinson who reached his leg out and tried to trip Tony Pollard. So, and that moved us back 15 yards instead of forward 15 yards in a spot where we definitely would have been able to just run the ball and kneel it. And it was also a positive, it was about a 7 yard gain. So, I mean, that play alone is what gave them a chance to get the ball back. So they get the chance to get the ball back, drive all the way down the field, score a touchdown, and then in their attempt to win the game and go for two, there was the whole controversy stems around the way they tried to report eligible. They sent 3 linemen up in an attempt to confuse the Cowboys defensive players. And what they did was they ended up confusing the referees because that's I don't understand why they thought they could confuse us because once they tell the referees who's eligible, the referee then has to announce it not only to the Cowboys, they announce it to the entire stadium who the eligible receiver is. So once they did that, they reported one eligible lineman, but the lineman that the refs told the Cowboys and the entire stadium was the wrong ref. It was the wrong lineman. So that's why, in my opinion, I don't understand how people can say, "Oh, the Lions got fleeced," when if don't because they run the play, the lineman who they did not the lineman that they reported eligible but was not announced to the Cowboys was wide open for a touchdown because the Cowboys just didn't guard him because they didn't think he was eligible. So my thing is if that's the case, if they're gonna that's not on the Cowboys or the Lions. That's just bad refereeing. At the end of the day, one team was going to get messed. One team was going to get screwed out of that play. Whether it was the Cowboys for being told to guard the wrong receiver, or if it was the Lions because they had to throw the penalty at that point because the wrong lineman, it was an ineligible man downfield. So in that situation, I feel like the only thing to do would be to run it back, and that's exactly what they did. And then the next play, we ended up getting an interception, but they called an offsides on Micah, so it gave them another chance. And then at that point, they just didn't get it. So in my opinion, I feel like you can I don't understand you could say they got screwed out of a win when they had 2 opportunities to continue. Well, I guess one real they had another they had 2 opportunities because the interception and the offsides cancel each other out. And then the third opportunity, they just didn't get it. And all of those chances, they could have just kicked the field goal and gone into overtime. And they chose not to. So I don't understand how you can blame
Well, Dak did
I don't
have
understand
some
how you can
time in
blame
a
the Cowboys
timeout,
at all.
so
Yeah, what were you saying?
Dak did have a timeout and he had some time left, so he could have got us into field goal range. And Brett and Aubrey said that he can hit from 70. Now, of course, he could just be talking, but
And that's
if that is true, that gets
and that's
you in there.
with that much time, we don't even need to get to 70. We can get him into a comfortable range. And at that point of the season, now we're going to look into the future. We'll get there. He hadn't missed a single field goal that year. So I would have had that's a great point. We had a very good opportunity to still win that game, even if they did convert that 2 point conversion, if there wasn't all the controversy with the referees. But in my opinion, if you play stupid games trying to go up there and confuse people when I don't understand how you thought that was going to work when they would announce who then the eligible receiver was. That's kind of your own fault. You can't go up there trying to confuse people and then get upset when people get confused. Like yeah, y'all's plan worked. You went up there trying to throw people off and and make everyone wonder who the eligible receiver was, and it worked exactly not how y'all wanted, but exactly how y'all intended. So that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that's how that Lions game ended up going, and so then ended up now with that last game against the Commanders.
Pretty much. I was actually on a cruise watching this. So it was could be on the cruise and still watch the game. And my roommates were like, "Bro, they're not gonna have the Cowboys game on. Be for real. They're gonna have the Cowboys. Let's just be for real." Anyway, so yeah, we ended up winning 38-10. Dak threw 4 touchdowns. He did have a pick. He had a on our second drive, he threw a pick. Boy, oh boy, was I wouldn't say I was nervous, but I just knew people on Twitter because I couldn't, I don't have a service because so I just knew people on Twitter when as soon as he threw that first pick, which gave him 9, they were like, oh boy. I knew they wanted him to throw that 10th pick,
Oh yeah.
but of course, like he said, even though he did not say that he was not going to throw 10 picks at the beginning of the year, but that's the narrative people went with, so that's the narrative I'm gonna go with. He did not throw 10 picks. He ended the season off with 36 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, which was the best touchdown to turnover ratio in the league, as well as the most passing touchdowns in the league. So there's that. Uh, Tony Pollard, he looks like he's been trending in the right direction. He's been running a little bit harder. He's been getting fighting for some extra yards. The line blocking a little bit better. We got out of there fairly healthy. Gilly hurt his shoulder a little bit, but he said he's going to be a go for the Packers game, so that's good. Um, what else? Oh, our defense caused 2 turnovers. Shout out Darrell Bland, the interception leader this year, first team all pro. Shout out him, as well as CD. I wanted him to get 100 yards. I think he got 98, but he did get a touchdown. That's 9 straight games with a touchdown. So hopefully continue that into the playoffs. And actually, Dono also got a pick. It was never. Oh, it sucks that Brandon Aubrey finally missed his first field goal. He got one block, and then he actually missed one as well. But then he ended up making his last one. So yeah, I'm not really worried about him missing. It was probably just one of those things. Of course, he could make them all, but I still trust him. Even when he missed, I was like, "Oh wow, like, he actually missed!" Like I was surprised based on how well he's been playing, and he was shout out him as well, for only rookie on the first team all pro team. But now it's time for the Packers. We just want to, run over those games a little bit. Not, we don't want to just dismiss them. We're 12-5, which I thought we would not go 12-5 for 3 years straight. I thought we would go 13-4, but it is what it is. And that Lions game that was actually huge because that was the difference between us being second seed and third seed and getting 2 home playoff games. So now, as long as we win out until the NFC Championship. So this week we play the Packers. Tomorrow, actually, at 3:30, because this is Saturday right now. So tomorrow at 3:30, play the Packers at home, whiteout game. Tell me how you feel about it.
No, I'm feeling pretty confident in this game. I got to be honest though, the Packers aren't a team that I paid a lot of attention to this year. I know towards the end of the season they start playing a lot. Their offense, they have a very young offense. They started playing a lot more efficiently. Jordan Love was trending in the right direction. So I know offensively they've kind of improved as the season went on, but I know defensively is where their struggles lie. I know they given up a lot of points to some mediocre teams. I know they gave up, I think it was 33 to the Carolina Panthers. And, that's just a team that hasn't been able to do anything really offensively. So I know their defense is kind of their um their weakest link right now on the team. And to have a chance in this game, the Packers are really going to have to hope they can win a shootout. And while our defense has shown that they are like against the Seahawks, that was a game that they put us in a shootout and we were able to win. But I just don't see our defense giving up a lot of points to such a young offense. I think we'll be able to, get to Jordan Love, kind of make it. This will be his first ever playoff. This will be a lot of their offense's first ever playoff game. So I think we'll be able to kind of, put a lot of pressure on them. If we can if we can build up a lead, obviously, then they'll have to pass the ball because obviously they have Aaron Jones right now, who's had a pretty good career against the Cowboys. Obviously, we don't play them a lot, but he's had couple 100-yard games in his matchups against us. So as long as we can kind of keep them off the ground, keep them from running the ball, trying to replicate what teams like the Bills did against us, where James Cook was pretty much able to get whatever he wanted. So luckily for us, it's looking like AJ Dillon isn't trending into playing. He's dealing with some injuries. So if they had that, two-man backfield, that would probably be a little bit harder for us. But since they don't, I'm thinking we can get up to a lead, and at that point, Aaron Jones won't even be able to be that effective. Jordan Love will have to drop back, which gives Micah, D-Law, Osa, Dorrance, everybody we got down there, Jonathan Hankins, Neville Gallimore, all a chance to get at him. And if that's the case, he's having to be quick with his throws, having to he's going to be having to make decisions and just going to have to be taking chances. And at that point, that gives Deron Bland, Stephon Gilmore, Jaron Curse, Donovan Wilson, all those guys, and Jordan Lewis, who's been playing great in these last few weeks. Definitely want to give a shout out to my guy. It gives those guys a chance to get those interceptions and create those turnovers. So I feel like, this is a good game for us. So definitely, I saw Nick Wright kind of call it better than a bye. And while I wouldn't say like obviously a bye is what you really want, I feel like I could kind of understand what he meant by that, because it's a game that we should win as long as we kind of do what we've been doing all year. As long as we do what we're supposed to do, it's a game that'll give us some momentum, get us in our groove to give us a playoff win under our belt. So I kind of get it what he's saying, but obviously I would definitely still prefer a bye. But I definitely think this will be a good game for us to, build up some momentum going through the rest of these playoffs. How about you?
Yeah, you're definitely right. I feel like it's a pretty good test because, like you said, we're supposed to beat them, but in Cowboy history, just because you're supposed to beat somebody doesn't mean you always will. So, with that being said, I just feel like they are ready for the moment. I do feel as if Dak is locked in, so I feel like they're gonna come out and have a great day. I mean, it's at home, and right now we're 11-0 at home, and over the last 2 years, so. We played pretty great at home. I hope that that'd be terrible. It'd be a terrible time to end that streak,
Right.
especially against the Packers. My roommate's been saying, "Oh, I can't wait for a Jordan Love masterclass," but it sucks that they say that, but then hypothetically speaking, once we win or we kill them, it was just the Packers, it was just Jordan Love. I hate the double standard. So there's that, but I do feel as if our team is locked in. If yeah, like you said, if we stop the run early and they have to get into passing situations, that's when we're at our best. Our pass rush, our DB, they like to jump routes. I just hope we could lock up Christian Watson this time. He had his coming out party against us last year. So I mean, of course, that was with Aaron Rodgers, but still,
And
you know,
that was with Aaron Rodgers on their team and Anthony Brown on our team. So just want
which
to
is a very, very big
let
difference.
that be.
Now is Deron Bland or Gilly. Probably Deron Bland though, because he's the young guy, faster guy. Even though Christian Watson is also on their injury report, he's Jair Alexander rolled an ankle, and not that he can guard CD because I think CD had his first ever 150-yard game last year on him as well. He definitely had at least a touchdown. He might have had two. So yeah, so like I feel pretty confident in the win. So I'm not gonna say we're gonna for sure win because I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm definitely ready for our playoff push. As long as we're locked in, I feel like we have a pretty good chance against a lot of teams. So we're gonna take it week by week. Not gonna look ahead too far. After we play the Packers, win or lose, we'll have another video for sure. So we'll just figure out where to go from there. I believe that we're gonna win, though. I do. I truly believe that. I have 100% faith in that. So yeah, I'm gonna go into my predictions real quick, and then I'll let you do your predictions. So all season, pretty much been underselling, and that's pretty much worked. So we go Dak for 250 and two touchdowns, and for the people saying, "Oh my God, Dak can't do that or this and that in the playoffs," statistically speaking, yes, he can. So I think CD will have 85 in a touchdown. I think he can get to that 100-yard range, 100-yard plus, but you just never know how the game's going. So I'm saying that. Cooks for 50. I saw a stat that we've never lost a game when he goes over 20, and I think we lost every single game where he goes under 20 yards.
I think that's what the stat is.
So as long as he gets that 21 yards, I'll be fine. As long as we get the win, I'll be fine. I think TP will have 60 yards and a touchdown just because he's been trending in the right direction. He's you know, carrying it. We've been handing it off. We've been running better plays. Maybe linemen have been blocking a little bit better. I don't really know, but it seems like our running game is a little bit better each week. I think Gallup will have 30 yards. Hopefully, we can install him back into the mix. If not, there's no need to force it. Jalen Tolbert has been a very quality third option as of late, or fourth option based on where you have a tight end still. I think we'll have a tight end touchdown. Jake Ferguson, I think we'll get him back to the mix. He hasn't really feel like he hasn't really been in the mix of late. I think we're gonna get him back in. I saw a stat. I forgot exactly the stat, but they had the worst defense against seam routes, and of course, that's Dak's favorite pass to Jake Ferguson. That seam route can ride it in stride. So and I think they play too high safety, so that could have to fit it right in that bucket. So we'll just see what happens. I think Mike will have a sack and a half. He finally went over 13 or 13 and a half sacks, by the way, last game. He had 14, end of the year with 14 and a half, I'm correct, which is something he didn't do his first 2 years, but I'm glad he got over that hump. D-Law, I think he'll have 1.5 tackles for loss. He'll have one by himself as well as he'll be in the backfield with somebody else for another one. I think we'll have at least a pick, and I think we'll create 2 turnovers. I think we might get a strip sack on Jordan Love, Micah might, and I think we'll win 30-13. How about you?
So, like you said, you've been underselling, and I've been, hoping for the absolute best. I want these guys to maximize their stats. I got Dak throwing for 365 and 4 touchdowns. I got Tony Pollard going for 80 yards, and then I think between him and Rico, I think they'll have 2 touchdowns. I think they'll be because as well as this defense not being that great against these, like you said, tight ends and seam routes. They're also that not that good of a rushing defense. I think they're one of the only teams that have had a worse rushing defense than we have because that's kind of been one of our kryptonites throughout the season, and I think they've been ranked even lower than we have. So I think this should definitely be a good game for Pollard and Rico Dowdle. Even though, but still, the way our offense runs now, it's through the pass, which is exactly what it should be. So I think that CeeDee Lamb will still have 130 yards in the touchdown. I think that Brandon Cooks will have 70 yards and a touchdown. I think we'll have a tight end touchdown. Didn't predict any Michael Gallup stats just because I mean this has been a season we've touched on. It's been kind of up and down for him. He's shown very few flashes of the old Michael Gallup, so we just don't know if we'll see that here in Green Bay against Green Bay. Yeah, obviously games with Dallas, but I think, and obviously sometimes I think even when he's not getting the ball, just throwing him the ball, it seems like bad stuff seems to happen sometimes. So I just kind of scares me once I see that ball going towards 13. So
Unless it's a deep ball.
yeah, that's it. Like if anything across the middle or like because that the tip pass interception, they was tipped at the line of scrimmage. So I'm not it's kind of not taking all that's not the same as like a wide receiver dropping it. So it's definitely still kind of on deck. That was a pass to Michael Gallup. So I just kind of want to not just get him the deep ball. No, let's see what we got. He's proven even in his down season that he still has that in his arsenal. So well, let's see it. But predicted that we were the same with Mike. I think he'll have a sack and a half. I think that we'll have 6 total sacks. And that if we can start putting pressure, I think we'll be able to put pressure on Jordan Love, make him get that ball out, and we'll end up with 2 interceptions, and we'll win the game 38-17.
Well, that's definitely two end of the spectrum. I mean, our scores aren't too far, but in terms of stats, we're kind of like,
Yeah.
which if we land in the middle, as long as we win,
All right.
that's all that matters to me. Hey, guys, it's the divisional round. The Packers, we're the second seed, they're the seventh seed, so we have our home game like we've been wanting. We predicted at the beginning of the season we'd win the NFC East, and like we did. So, there hasn't been a repeat NFC East winner since
And 20 over, I think they said
2009,
over
maybe.
20
I
years.
forgot exactly the date. Okay, so yeah, even farther, but I'm just glad this was not the first year, and we did end up winning the NFC East, which ended up getting a second seed. So 49ers have a bye right now. I'm really looking forward to it. I really like our chances. I'm not saying it's our year. I'm not saying this and that. I'm just saying I like our chances. We have the Packers. We have the Packers in front of us. We got Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, maybe Jair Alexander, maybe Christian Watson. They're not just pushovers. They made the playoffs for a reason. So we definitely need to lock in.
Definitely. And before we get out of here, I definitely just want to, give some guys some shout outs. The AP All Pro list has came out, so I want to give the nine Cowboys that made first and second team, which is a league leader. All Pro selections this season. So the first team was CeeDee Lamb, and not first, like we said, he cemented himself as a wide receiver one this year as one of the top receivers in the league with this award. There's three first team wide receivers. I think it was him, Tyreek Hill, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So whenever you're in a conversation with Tyreek Hill, obviously you're one of the best at your position. Deron Bland was first team. He led the league in interceptions with 9, broke the NFL record with pick sixes with 5. Definitely want to, when Trayvon Diggs went down, a lot of people, me included, definitely thought there would be some drop off just because, in my opinion, Trayvon Diggs is the best cornerback in the entire NFL. And then Deron Bland stepped right up and became the best cornerback in the NFL. So, definitely want to give his shout out. Always wanted Zach Martin at this point, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer as a lineman. When you have that many All Pros, this is the 7th All Pro selection in his career. I definitely am so happy he's on our team. To think that this team almost drafted Johnny Manziel instead of him, it just kind of makes me think of who knows where our team would be right now. And then Brandon Aubrey, like we said, didn't miss a single field goal until that last game. He ended up going, I think it was 35 for 37 on the year, missing. One was blocked and then one hit the upright. So, it's hard to be perfect, and he was this close. So those were the Cowboys that made first team, and then second team. My God, Dak Prescott makes you, whenever you say his name, make sure you add that all pro in front of it, because he is now an all pro quarterback, second team all pro quarterback this year, only behind Lamar Jackson, who's most likely going to win MVP, which I don't think is crazy, but I feel like he's getting a lot of credit for his team's success, but that's another story for another day. Michael Parsons, which I get, I can tell he's not very happy about it, but I can understand when there's only two options, and TJ Watt and Myles Garrett having the season that they're having. It's kind of hard. It's really pick your poison. They have a lot of actual stats. Micah causes a lot of disruption, a lot of pressure, causes sacks for the other players on his team. So it's kind of like a pick your poison. So I know he's not happy with that. Both Tyler and Tyron Smith were second team All Pro, which kind of surprises me about Tyron. He's only played 9 games this year, but he's been amazing in the games he's played. But I just thought maybe not playing the full season would have kind of hurt his chances. And then I honestly think that Tyler Smith was robbed of first team All Pro. I think he's had an amazing season. Even I think he was also robbed of the Pro Bowl, because if he's deserved of second team All Pro, he definitely is deserving of the Pro Bowl. But I even think he was deserving of first team All Pro, because he's just had an amazing season. He's had some penalties that might have been what kind of hurt his chances there to get that first team All Pro, but he's still had a great season. And then lastly, our punter, Brian Anger. I don't know what really, being able to flip the field obviously is a good thing when we honestly don't punt too often, but when we do, he does what he needs to do. So definitely want to give him a shout out.
That's why
And
it was interesting to me.
yeah, just because it's not even a knock against his ability. We honestly just don't punt that much. So yeah, those are the Cowboys who made All Pros. So definitely want to give those guys their props, and give them their shout outs, because this is a great season. With 9 All Pros, it's gonna be hard to have any really excuses if they can't get things done. So I'm hoping they can live up to that status that they earned this season, and go from there.
I'm just happy for Dak. It sucks because I feel like if we would have maybe won that Dolphins game, that he would have been first team All Pro or MVP. So kind of sucks because it's like I feel like I'm not gonna say our defense let us down, but it feels like that kind of because at that point he'd have one more win against the winning team. He'd be 13-4, so it'd be the same record as the Ravens. And he would have had his multiple at that point. He would have had multiple game-winning drives, multiple MVP moments, multiple All-Pro moments. So it's kind of tough, but it is what it is. People thought he wouldn't even get second team All Pro, So I thought he'd get Offensive Player of the Year, but I definitely saw that he would get. I definitely thought he could do this. So and that's not even being biased. That's just because I see I've seen his play over the last and always gone. He's gone up. I feel like, and it just seemed like this was the year that he could do something like that, and I'm just glad he went out and did it.
Yeah, man, 100%. It's crazy. Since these awards have been given out, it's kind of funny. I've literally had people tell me that the All-Pro team is irrelevant. It doesn't matter, and it's not impressive. And that's very coincidental that now the All-Pro team doesn't matter, and now it's not impressive when I've literally had those same people tell me that's what made other quarterbacks better than Dak. That's what made other players better than some players on our team. So I just find it funny at this point. They're running out of things to say, and I just got to give the guys shout outs for making my job a lot easier. I mean, when I was saying All Pro Dak Prescott is gonna hold a lot of weight in some conversations, whether they want it to or not. So definitely want to give the guys a shout out.
But all right, guys, that is another episode. Keep liking, keep commenting, keep subscribing, keep sharing. Appreciate y'all. Like we said, sorry for the hiatus, but we're back in the playoffs. We'll get these videos coming. So we're gonna have one after each playoff game. Hopefully, we have 4 more of these, and then we'll have like a last whatever our last game is. We'll have like a final episode of the season. So hopefully that doesn't come forward until after February 11th,
Right.
which is Super Bowl Sunday. That would be lovely. So we'll have a recap of each game and then as well as a preview. So if we do win, we'll have a recap / preview. Now we do, and then so like I said at the very end, we'll have like a season recap how we feel about the season. So take us out,
All right, guys. I'm Orlando.
and I'm Omar,
We're the Smart Bros.
and this is the Smart Take.